Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide in a Manhattan jail cell. Yeah. Former hedge fund manager and billionaire Jeffrey Epstein was arrested a few years ago on charges that he had, sex trafficking with minor teenage girls. Of course, he got a slap on the wrist and went on with his life, and there were people within the political arena that said, wait a minute, we have a problem here. And reporters in Miami just kept digging and digging and digging. This is an individual who was in close, not proximate, close association with former President Bill Clinton. Over 20 plus times, Bill Clinton is logged into having flown on a private jet owned by Jeffrey Epstein. Clinton's admission was, it happened 2 or 3 times, and I was just using it to get from a point A to point B. I never went to his private island. Oh yeah, Jeffrey Epstein, who had what was known as Pedo Island, where he took lots of former Democratic politicians, people of power, to this place for little sex romps with 13, 14-year-old girls. Now that he was facing serious charges, criminal prosecution, and of course the feds being involved, he was placed on suicide watch in a Manhattan jail where 2 weeks ago they found marks on his neck as if he had tried to hang himself. Okay. Then he's placed on suicide watch, and then magically he's taken off suicide watch, and the very next day, that would be Saturday, he was found dead. Our Attorney General, William Barr, said this is beyond suspicious, and this warrants a full investigation, as everyone is. Why, Joe Scarborough, you know, the morning schmuck, Mr. Magoo with his glasses, trying to convince everyone that he's smart, said this is Russian. Now, I don't think he was in any way saying that there was collusion involved in the takeout of Jeffrey Epstein. What he was saying is this is the stuff that happens in Russia when somebody has all kinds of real dirt and criminality on those elected officials or those people in power. They are simply removed as if they never existed. That's interesting coming from Morning Joe, who himself had to leave Congress after a female intern was found dead in his office. Now, there was some speculation, of course, immediately, that obviously the Clintons are involved in this. Donald Trump made a retweet that now we have Corey Grabbing Boys in the Men's Room Booker, along with Beto O'Rourke, the phony Latino, running for president, that it was terrible of Donald Trump to retweet these conspiracy theories. Even Marco Rubio came out and said, while this warrants investigation, and it is serious that somebody being held in federal custody winds up dead of an apparent suicide, it's not helpful to speculate on how this happened. Really? Why don't we just go ahead and end the speculation right now? Was this suicide or Clintoncide? You heard me. You know, anyone can know someone that dies. In fact, we all know people that have passed on. Anyone can know someone that died under, shall we say, suspicious conditions. We've known for years that there were many people in association, even having served on staff of the Clintons, that died precariously. Now, off the top of my head, I thought of about, 20 or so. Then I did a little investigation. Do you realize there are over 300 people that either worked for the Clintons, served as advisors to the Clintons, worked on the Clinton staff, who have died mysteriously? Over 300. Whether it was Vince Foster, or whether it was one-time aide to the Clinton campaign who then worked for the DNC, who is probably the true leaker of information to WikiLeaks, now that that's being blamed on the Russians. He's shot supposedly coming home from a nightclub. Just a random shooting. Yet he wasn't robbed, nothing off his person was taken. But we're just supposed to believe that by happen chance that as the goods on Hillary was being spoon-fed to WikiLeaks, we're just supposed to believe that was some Russian bots in a troll farm somewhere in Russia, and we're to pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. That dead body on the ground. I just casually in talking with a few people today. So what do you think? And everyone, and I'm talking about people who are even card-carrying, lifelong Democrats. This was a takeout. This was not a suicide. This was a man who had the ability to destroy, to pull down, to end the careers of very, very powerful people. You really thought this guy was going to see the light of day? This leads to all kinds of questions like, why was he not in some type of witness protection where he was literally under 24-hour guard and surveillance? And I don't mean in a Manhattan jail. I mean whisked off to someplace private, secluded, in a home where he was surrounded 24/7, never left alone even to go to the bathroom. Because whether it was suicide or not, whether he was a potential threat to himself or not, he was certainly, his mere existence and life is a threat to the very powerful. Did you really think Bill Clinton would see the inside of a jail cell because of Jeffrey Epstein? Was that going to be the final chapter in Bill Clinton's life? Are you kidding me? And who knows what he knew about Hillary Rodham Clinton. This is also a case for the pedos protecting one of their own. You heard me. Pedophiles protecting one of their own. I've talked about this before on here, and I know there are many of you that poo-poo this sort of thing. You let it go in one ear and out the other and think, oh, Pastor Marty's just talking crazy today. It wasn't that long ago, was it, in the last 2 years, one-time child actor Corey Feldman, part of the two Coreys in Hollywood. Remember Corey Feldman and Corey Haim? And they did all those teenage movies back in the 1980s. And Corey Feldman said that there were very powerful people in Hollywood that molested children. Now, there's a reason people molest children. One is their deviant sexual behavior drives them to do just the most heinous of vile things to the innocent among us. But this is the part where people start turning a deaf ear, and you need to hear me. There are people, whether you're one of them or not is irrelevant, who believe very strongly in the supernatural. And I'm not simply talking about a belief in God, but a belief in Satan. Outright Satanist, into Satanism. And they do believe that they receive power, the ability to be in power, the ability to have control, the ability to be able to stay in places where they can make decisions that affect the rest of the world. And they believe they derive that power through the occultic practices of Satanism. Doesn't matter whether you or I believe that. They believe it. And they act on that. And in acting on that, the best way that they can have this power within Satanism is to destroy innocence around them. And what greater innocence is there than that of a child? And to rob them of that innocence while also receiving a sick, grotesque, sexual satisfaction. Why do you not understand that what took Jeffrey Epstein out even goes beyond, quote, a Bill Clinton? I'm not saying Bill Clinton is involved. I'm not saying he's not. And there were all types of stories that were beginning to come out during the 2016 election about Hillary Rodham Clinton, Mr. Podesta, and child pedophilia. And yet, the mainstream media wouldn't touch it. Some because of disbelief, others because they didn't want to end up like a Jeffrey Epstein. And the people that talk about these types of reports are considered kookballs and crackpots and conspiracy nitwits. Again, it doesn't matter if you believe this. But you need to understand, you need to believe there are people that believe they derive their power, their ability to control through the dark side. And the dark side is empowered in them when they crush and destroy innocents around them. Why is it that so many people involved in the political world, on the left and right, Democrat and Republican, have come up through the ranks of secret societies, societies in which it's more than just alleged, it's outright documented, and it is fact-checked. They are involved in occultic practices and in deviant sexual behavior. Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Dead. What was he involved in? Providing underage girls to very powerful people. And I am certain he was convinced he was safe. He would never be arrested, never face real prosecution of any kind because he knew too many things about too many people and could prove it. Don't tell me a guy engages in this kind of behavior with the likes of a Bill Clinton, who doesn't somewhere possess the proof to back it up. And by the way, this is designed not only to silence him, but to silence anyone that may have worked with him to help him be able to obtain and have the evidence against powerful people. This is a warning. You better be quiet and stay in the shadows, and no one ever better hear from you. See, the prosecution will go forward. There will be some low-level people who are in it just for sexual kicks. They're going to get named and go down because now there will be a demand that the people involved in this face criminal prosecution. But the truly powerful, the Bill Clintons and those whose names we don't even know yet, they will never see a courtroom. They will never see a jail cell. And Jeffrey Epstein did not commit suicide. That you can take to the bank. As far as what happened and who, sadly, we know, but we don't know. And that's it. Hey, thanks for watching this special Sunday edition of the Afternoon Drive. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Give us a thumbs up, a like, spread the word about this channel, and make sure you've smacked the bell for my next rant.